everyone. Hello, everyone. Glad to be back. Hi, Mike. Glad to have
I
you on board for a special live stream. I don't know. We'll see. We've been discussed about like for for a while. Yeah, doing some stuff about folk. Now it's 9 a.m. over here in the East Coast. For you, it's a little bit early in the afternoon. So let's see the reception it receives
well, yes,
live or
yes.
maybe later. Yeah.
I think it can be a bit niche what we're about to
Yeah,
talk,
yeah. So
but
we will
it's
be
all
wait.
lovely stuff, isn't it? It's all wonderful music, and
I know, but for a live stream might be odd, to do a live stream like right now. I'm not sure if lots of people will join in the
yeah,
chat. So we'll see. So yeah, before entering into the nitty gritty, we will be a little bit explaining why how we came up with the idea. But just how about you? How are you? How are things
yeah.
going?
I'm absolutely fine, and I picked up a couple of records, this week, and one I mentioned it to you when we spoke earlier this week, and that was I've got another Alan Deval, renaissance of the Celtic harp,
Yep.
and of course, he's a Breton sort of harp player, and his records, unlike so many other, French or other sort of international folk singers, folk musicians, his stuff is really easy to find in the UK,
Yep.
and I think it's because of that Celtic connection
Yep. Yep.
that he
Yeah.
has. Yeah,
Yeah, he played a major role, in we discussed about that privately, just for the other
yeah,
people. Mike is delving into a French folk rabbit hole.
yes, I
Yeah,
have. I have.
just started, so which is pretty cool. I introduced him with Joseph Isola, that other people. We already have several French people in the chat.
Yeah,
Or hello, Fräulein. She's from Germany, but she knows Joseph.
yeah, yeah.
She she
Hello.
par- she participate in a weekly live stream. We Stanley and myself host every Sunday morning. So we know about Joseph Isola, and you watched several of his videos and taking like notes about hey that would be interesting for me. And yeah, Alan Steele, it's pretty common. Sold like cakes back in the day.
Yeah,
Had a massive influence on the Celtic scene. Started with Don Abraz on the guitar, then he later made the path split it. Like Don Abraz made a solo career as well. But yeah, he's recognized as it was a figure, I think, Breton music in the 70s,
yeah, yeah,
in the French post May 68, where, free to speech, all the stuff came up, so people were proud again of their own culture, language, and Breton is definitely part of them, a strong culture. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's right. Just before we get into the what we're meant to be talking about, there's this other one that arrived in the post yesterday. It's something that I'd ordered, and it's it's a 10-inch, and it's on the Ukraina label, uh, which Tartan de Clou are on, weren't they?
Yeah.
The album that you recommended to me, but this is called Rev Gallen, and it's a mini album, and it's by Catherine Hershey and Gilles Poisat. And what it is that Catherine's grandfather was a reverend, the Reverend Gallen Hershey, and he
Okay.
wrote poetry. And what this is, it's that Catherine has put his poems that he wrote between 1946 and 1976, he's put them to music. And it's an absolutely wonderful little album. It's very sort of ethereal and sort of otherworldly. And
Okay.
you get the poems on a little insert here. And it was just something that I came across, completely by accident, really. I think it's
Okay.
released in about 2013. It came out, but it's absolutely wonderful stuff. Really, really lovely. So I was pleased to get that.
Yeah, Rev Gallon. Yeah, yeah. It's a nice way to start. Asking. I usually ask the people in the panel, what is your latest purchase? What is your latest stuff you're into? Heavy rotation. So yeah, pretty
Yeah,
good. I just found an album thanks to your guidance, or a couple of weeks back. I didn't buy much stuff lately, but the latest record I found was this one, June Tabor.
yes.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful album, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, reminds me a little bit of Bridges and John, but less techniques, like more smooth, I would say.
yeah,
Late 70s. Yeah, late
yeah.
70s folk, and it has some. Yeah, it has already some electronic. I think the harp is not a genuine harp. It's a synthesizer, but it's overall
Yeah.
it's a great folk record as well. So June Tabor,
It,
and
it is. It is. I might show another June Table record later on, so
okay,
we can talk about her a little more. But she is one of my all-time favourite vocalists. I mean, not just as a folk musician, but just vocalist. Full stop. I think
yeah.
she's got an absolutely wonderful voice.
Found this one in Montreal in a bookstore. Or they mainly have used books, but they also have a very good section of used records. And as it happens, I stumbled upon this, and I knew because I already I went online to listen to this album after you mentioned it, and I really
Yeah.
liked. So really glad I could find. So let's maybe jump into today's topic.
Yes.
Intro. How did we come up with the idea of doing a full stream?
Right. Right. Shall
Yeah,
I? Shall I start? Shall I
be,
start on this? Yeah.
be my
Well,
guest.
for me, I was really surprised to find that there's this young French guy living in Canada who was interested in English folk music and actually knew a bit about it.
You are talking about
And
Ben Rankings, right?
yes, that's right. That's right. And folk is something that I've been into for very many years, but I've not really shown it on my channel at all until quite recently. And I think the reason is that I hadn't really seen anybody else
Mhm.
show any real sort of interest in folk. There are one or two. There are one or two people out there that I know about, but generally, folk music doesn't get an awful lot of attention. And the other thing is that Fred uh, over in Melbourne, that he showed the book Electric Eden, and he did a lovely video.
Yep.
I think it's about
Yeah.
45 minutes talking about Rob Young's wonderful book. And it was just before Christmas last year. It was probably sort of November time. And coincidentally, my son asked me if there was anything that I would like as a Christmas present. And I said, yes, there's this book that I think I'd really love. And it's a fantastic overview of the, the English folk revival.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Very well researched. And it's got a wonderful discography as well. So, if you're thinking of getting into that sort of music, into English folk music, then it's worth getting just for the discography.
Oh, absolutely. At the end, yeah, there is
It's
this
done by year, isn't it?
by year and then by decades, starting from the 1980s onwards and before the 1950s. And yeah,
Yeah,
it has all the nice records you need to know, or it's not bad to start with.
yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
Like some
yeah,
anecdote related is yeah.
yeah, yeah. So really, I suppose it was our discovery that we had this shared interest
Yeah,
that
from
made us want to do this. Yeah,
from my point of view, exactly the same. We talk daily behind the scene with Fred. I did yesterday up until 3 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, we become close online VC friends, And yeah, he made this video. We talk about folk, and it, to me was like, hey, is that something like the invisible connection or the unexpected common ground? Since I talk about folk a little bit. Ben Rankings, he's known as I mentioned him because we were like the three of us on the previous live stream I did host on his channel talking about that, and I was like, hey, we do love folk. We do have some album. We enjoy that, and no one talks about. And then you send me an email, I think, late June something, saying, hey, you would be doing something. You would like to do something about folk, and then the idea started to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly. But you said something really important there, I think, about the vinyl community. And that is the making of connections. That it's very easy to find other people, new friends from all around the world that share your interest, people that you can talk to about the music you love, the music that maybe the rest of your family doesn't love.
yeah.
And, it's one of those things, that's what I love about doing this is that, I'm finding new people all the time
Yeah,
that I find very interesting. They show me music that I didn't know before. And it goes from there, doesn't it? And then you build up real friendships as a result of doing that.
yeah. Well, what can I say? I made a video about that, about all the records I bought because, or thanks to you guys, to you, Mike, to Ben, to Fred. And I think you know, probably I could have been able to discover this record, but after 5 or 10 years, and but now you have the connection, and people know their stuff, and it's a great way to improve your knowledge like really rapidly because you talk to the right people, to the music enthusiasts. And when you know, okay, this guy knows about Australian punk, oh, this guy knows about avant-garde music, then you don't have to do the work, and it's a pleasure. You have friends, and yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
being a music enthusiast, a vinyl collector, is, yeah, it's something more like we often discuss about that. We as a like a lonesome ranger, I don't have friends that I used to have back in my high school days, so I'm pretty much alone into the way of discovering new stuff, buying records. So it's fine to have friends, even albeit virtual. So
Well, yeah,
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 yeah, exactly. Now, that's a good question, isn't it? The etymology of folk music as we know it in England. That's that's a very, very big question, I think. And and I think Rob's book certainly delves into that in quite some detail. And I suppose that there's another question to ask, isn't there? What is folk music? What does it
mhm,
mean? What does it mean? And there's this thing about the Victorian and Edwardian
era.
collectors of music, isn't there?
Mhm.
And they could see that maybe there was music out there that was dying, music that had been handed down, orally from generation to generation that maybe would disappear because with the rise of the sort of mass media and things like the music hall where you get sort of commercially written songs that would you know permeate the whole country. The little little sort of very local local what am I trying to say, the sort of local music, music that maybe is heard in a particular county or in a particular village, that could be lost. But then in the act of collecting the music, they also changed it, and in many ways they corrupted it, didn't they? Because some of the music was, or particularly the lyrics, were seen to be uh, a little bit too lewd, not quite what polite Victorian society was used to. So there was a degree of censorship there with folk music, and then again, the tunes quite often uh, were, were adapted for you know, for a parlour, for and it was. I think does Rob say something about it's it's folk music in a dinner jacket or something like that.
Mm.
That it becomes acceptable to polite society, and so things get lost. And I think after that, without sort of like going on about this for hours and hours, I think the way music then developed, the English folk revival, that there was a lot of people that saying, well, what is folk music? And this question was being asked again and again. And I think there were disagreements. People would move in different directions, and people like Ewan McCall had this. I think had this idea about a kind of purity of English folk music.
One of the
And at one time,
yeah.
he wanted to ban guitars from folk clubs because the guitar wasn't a folk instrument; it was a modern instrument.
Yeah, we discussed about that, and I cannot really respond for England in the '60s. I can say something about France, about conservatism, and people usually think folk music is something like Frozen. We will celebrate a Frozen culture, how it was 30 or 40 odd years ago, and it doesn't has the ability to evolve in those people's mind. So that's exactly, when people like, that David Graham went to Morocco, brought something to the table, or other people like Bert Jensch brought blues from Brownie McGee, one of his idol, emerging jazz, with sitar. Those people were thinking back in the days, probably that's not folk. But now in 2025, we clearly think it is folk. It is folk music. But
Yes,
yeah,
that's right. That's right. I mean, what the tradition is, or what it should be, what it's become, is, as you say, something that's evolved
yeah.
over the years. And even in a fairly short period between, say, the late 50s and, say, the mid 70s, folk music changed an awful lot. But I think
Thanks.
we'll probably come to that when we talk about some of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
music.
Thanks to the evolution, of course, because those generation of young people didn't only copy, because it has only been, with I think Larry Donegan with the skiffle was already something like triggering the revival, but he wasn't really only copy pasting the Lick Belly or Woody Guthrie songs. He already had brought something of his own to the table,
Yeah.
and yeah. So hey, just saying hi, Ingo, fellow member from the German vinyl community. Hello, Ingo. Hi, Ingo. And
Hi.
yeah, Matt. Morning, or
Hi.
yeah,
Hi. So
enjoying the new.
these are a lot of people that I've not met before. So hi, everybody.
I never met this guy or girl, whatever. So hi, welcome to the show. So good
Yeah.
to have, good to see new, not faces, new names or new channels. Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is how we come up with the idea of doing of talking about folk. So on to the next, the first. So yeah, today's stream will be divided. Mainly, we'll have two main topics. So the how we did get into folk music. It would be interesting to know about your story, Mike, because you're in the UK, the country where we're talking about. So you
Yeah.
live here. So your experience might be more interesting than mine. And
I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know. I I find it intriguing how you ever sort of
yeah. So
managed to discover this music. So, do you want to go first on this one?
how would it? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So how would it? Growing up, I was listening to stuff like Cat Stevens. My mother, as a '90s kid in France, didn't know much about folk revival. I had nothing to. I didn't wasn't much aware of that. So yeah, my mom used to have like yeah Cat Stevens. As I said, I knew about Nick Drake, and it was yeah pretty much everything. So and I think. I later discovered that I could appreciate when I was massively into classic rock, that I could like some pastoral folk element, like on Led Zeppelin 3, for instance. And on the Black Sabbath album, which one is this, Master of Reality? I'm not even sure. Anyway, there is an album with some folk elements, yeah, on the Black Sabbath album. And when I got into prog, I got interested in the wider wherefore of the genre, and I read some stuff about, when Genesis recorded their Trespass album, they were like in a castle or in a mansion, and they were listening to mainly two albums, the King Crimson, obviously, and Fairport Convention. And I was like, ooh, Fairport Convention. I knew a little bit about Matty Groves, and one band that was really the connection was this band. This is the Strobes. This is a very special edition. And the Strobes, it's interesting because the Strobes, it has this Rick Wakeman connection. Rick Wakeman, he played with the Strobes on the from the Witchwood album, so known as Mr. Rick Wakeman. And he played with the Strobes. So in the Strobes, those are a folk. Maybe not from the Witchwood is not a typical folk album, but to me it was like, hey, I have to discover, I have to know more about the Strobes. And then I bought this one, which is interesting because on side one there is this tracks when Rick Wakeman plays on, and on side
Mhm.
two it's nothing more than the solo album from David Cousins, the leader of the Strobes. 2 weeks last July, something very folky album he dropped in 72. And I also bought the first one, debut album 69 and Dragonfly, that are really typical folk album. And here we go, after with the connection I had with with Fred, with this book. I started to learn, to read, to watch documentaries. There is this incredible documentary, Folk Britannia,
Yeah.
originally aired on the BBC4, available on YouTube. Acoustic Roots, with Bert Jansch, and some stuff. And so here I am.
Yeah.
Here I
Yeah. The
am.
rest is history. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's a little bit different. And I've just realised there was an album that I was going to pick out, and I haven't picked it out of the main run at the moment. But yeah, so in the early 70s, I was just getting into music in general. Probably about 1970 was when I started seriously to think about music, and I was very very much into prog rock. That was my thing. Yes, and Genesis, and then there's Floyd. I loved Led Zeppelin. I love Wishbone Ash,
Yeah.
and then I also absolutely loved glam rock. Which
Yep.
is very very much sort of an English thing, I think, and very much sort of orientated towards singles rather than albums, really. So bands like Slade and Swedes and
T
various
Rex.
other.
T Rex. Although T Rex, Electric Warrior is a great album.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I was sort of into, but also. I grew up on the south coast of England, and it's a town called Eastbourne, and it's a seaside resort, and it was very famous for the place where uh, old people go for their holidays. It's very
Mhm.
sedate,
Mhm.
and many people actually ended up when they retired in other parts of the UK that they would come and live in Eastbourne. So Eastbourne was a town with a quite an elderly demographic, very conservative, and as a result, you didn't really get many bands, coming to play at Eastbourne. And I could go to Brighton, and which I did, which was like 20 miles along the coast. But apart from local bands that would play in the pubs in and around Eastbourne, there was very little going. and the main theatre in Eastbourne was the Congress Theatre. I'll just get the album. And in 1973, there were two gigs that I went to. I believe it was 73. It might have been, one might have been 73, one might have been 74, but it was about that time. Firstly, it was the Strawbs. I saw the Strawbs, and it was when they were touring their album Bursting at the Seams, which I didn't get out of the rod. That's the one, yeah. It looks like a live album, but it actually isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I was really taken by them. And like you said, they're not really, they can't really be considered, you know, a pure folk band, but they they were one of those bands that crossed that divide between prog and folk, I think. And and you mentioned Fairport as well, and you know they were another band that were, you know, quite proggy in their outlook, I think. But the other band that I saw were Steel Span, and they were touring this album, Parcel of Rogues. There you go, and it's gatefold there, so you can see all the band members there. So you got Tim Hart and Maddie Pryor, Rob Johnson, Peter Knight on the fiddle, and then Rick Camp. And I can remember had an absolutely wonderful evening. You know, listening to Steel Eye Span. They were a very good live band. You know, very entertaining. And the whole evening was full of sort of anecdotes and funny stories, and then they play the music. And really, from that point, I was quite taken by folk music. So I'd gone along with a friend of mine, and we decided that we would do something about our sort of ignorance of folk music. And we discovered that although we were only about 15, 16 years old at the time, there was a folk club in a pub in Eastbourne, a pub called The Crown, and it was the Crown Folk Club, and it was their room upstairs, and we were able to get in even though it was licensed premises, and they would just, you know, a very typical sort of local folk club. Every month, you know, people would come along. They would get guests in, and for the life of me, I can't remember the names of any of the bands really, or the singers, apart from a band called the Pomp and Plock Band, who was sort of very much a sort of like a sort of Cayley band really, in many respects. And I saw them quite a few times around the pubs of East Sussex, out in the countryside, which was really nice. But on the very first time that we went to the Crown Folk Club, there was a raffle going on, and I happened to win. I won one of the prizes in the raffle, and it was this.
Oh,
yeah, Martin Carthy's Sweet Wibblesfield. And to tell you the truth, I knew virtually nothing about Martin Carthy at this time. You know, it wasn't somebody that had really. Well, I just didn't know the name because I wasn't really into folk music until this particular time. But yeah, this is a lovely album. Again, it's from 1973. So you've got John Barleycorn is on here, you know, which is a folk standard. You've got Skewbald, the song about an American racehorse that went to Ireland and beat all the local favourites. Even though American horses were allegedly not very good runners, they were short of stamina. But the horse Skewbald won the race. But Yeah, Shepherd O Shepherd is another one here. Three Jolly Sleepsmen. It's a lovely sort of very sort of traditional sounding uh, folk album.
Yeah, to me, it's the more traditional artist. Whenever I listen to Martin Copley stuff, the stuff he made with Dave Swarbrick
Yeah,
or with Norman Morrison later, it's traditional. It's not psychedelic. It's not like jazzy. It's very good. It's very good. The techniques, and
yeah,
he was and it's funny you say you knew nothing about him because he and David Graham, they were the two people when Bob Dylan took his trip
yeah.
to the UK, and Paul Simon, to grasp
Exactly.
a little bit of the essence of the English folk. They were the two people they were play with, the Troubadour, another famous folk club,
Yeah,
and Bert Jansch, say that in the documentary I recently watched. He say, there are people they bring something to the music and make money, and people they only bring something to the music, don't make a lot of money, don't get a lot of recognition, but yeah, that's
yes,
life. Yeah, and
yes,
I think Martin Carty, you see him. He's an MBE, I think, or OBE. He was
yeah,
still traveling by train without bodyguard. But might yeah, those were not the rock star, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But if you weren't, if you weren't a folk aficionado, I think that Martin Carthy would be somebody that would easily pass you by because he was very folk. There wasn't a lot of crossover, and of course, he's the elder statesman of British folk, as far as I'm concerned. He's that constant presence. There's Martin Carthy and Shirley Collins, who I'm sure we'll talk about later. These are people that they've been part of the scene, for many, many, many years. And of course, Martin Carthy uh, ends up marrying into the Watersons. He married Norma Waterson,
yeah,
and later on in the, I think it was the 90s, they started. There were Waterson Carthy albums, and then their daughter Liza
Eliza, yeah,
Carthy.
yeah, yeah,
She started, producing albums of her own, and so they're very much a sort of a dynasty of English folk. But yeah, but my first Fairport convention was this one. Now, up here there should be a red sort of seal, but unfortunately it came unstuck a long time ago, and I lost it. But yeah, this is an album from about 1972. It's a compilation, the history of Fairport, and it's got um, it's got the famous sort of family tree.
family tree, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
In 1972, Sandy Denny had already left, Richard Thompson as well.
yeah,
So it was like
yeah,
the end of the one era. There were several eras, with several
yeah,
lineup changes,
yeah.
and,
That's right. That's right.
and we will be talking about that later. And just doing something. Ian, the first singer, Ian Matthews, was it Ian or Ian MacDonald? Ah, uh,
Ian Matthews was
Ian,
what went
Ian,
on to form Southern Comfort, didn't he?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he left the band probably because he was still into American stuff.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
when the band evolved to our more British folk traditional, they hired Dave Swarbrick, and then he came, band dramatically changed, but he was still into the like the Reno Nevada song they were covering in the British television that doesn't appear on the first album debut. He
yeah.
sings on his album. Oh, I got here. We don't have lots of budget for today's, but we have the record. Yeah, on this one, yeah, which is
Yeah,
a lovely album as well, released on the Vertigo label.
right.
And yeah, Matthew Southern Comfort, where he covers the Woodstock song by Johnny Mitchell. They're very sweet, very smooth, really like. But he was the one, I think, as I say, more to wanted to stick to more laid back Western stuff. I
yeah,
think. Correct
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I don't have that album. In fact, I don't have any of Ian Matthews stuff.
yeah.
And the more American influence stuff is not the stuff that interests me the most in English folk music.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still it's still excellent music. But yeah, I mean, there were all sorts of tensions. Maybe not sort of animosity, but certainly sort of tensions about which way uh, Fairport should go. And I think in particular there was should they be a traditional folk band? Should they be playing traditional tunes, or should they be singers and songwriters?
And I think the Joe Boyd, the producer,
Mm,
who is American, was American. He's the
yeah,
one who convinced the band, hey, you are a bunch of English young people, you have to do English stuff. And I think when the album the Big Pink was released, they were like, okay, we have to give up this way, we have to do our stuff.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. I suppose the Big Pink is the band's equivalent of the Angel Pop, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Angel Delights. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like they recorded the album, didn't they? In this barn that was painted pink. Yeah,
The Incredible String Band. Uh,
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're for me, the Incredible String Band are absolutely fantastic. I love them, but I think they were always a little bit out on a limb. They were much more psychedelic. I don't think that their music necessarily, um, fits perfectly with what some of the other bands were doing at the time. But still, undeniably sort of folk music, and
yeah,
I love the psychedelic stuff. Absolutely.
yeah. It's the Glasgow connection. Like Donovan, they came from Glasgow,
Mm.
but I think they made the first album, which was is that 5,000 layers of the onion something?
No, no. The first album is self-titled.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And I know after that, I think one there are some members that went to Afghanistan with the hippies, and to the other one went to Morocco. So when
yeah,
oh yeah, this one, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's it.
they went on a hiatus, then came back.
5,000 Spirits or the Layers of the Onion. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
1967,
yeah.
and it's a wonderful album.
It is, and it is a
And it's very
massive,
weird, very psyche.
and it is a
Robin Williamson and Mike Herron.
and it is a massive source of inspiration for all the obscure French folk that I listen to. I can recognize the pattern, the effect with the ding ding or the sitar or some
Yes,
yeah,
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
And an album that I acquired recently, a French album, Emmanuel Perrin.
Emmanuel Paruna, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, that's how I meant to say it. uh, you know, uh, Maison Rouge, isn't it?
yeah,
And that has very much a kind of incredible string band sort of vibe to it. With the with a hurdy-gurdy playing, and
yeah,
as you say, it's a bit sort of twangy and discordant at times, and it's
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, I realized that since I have some yeah, French folk music and from people in the 70s, and they wanted to escape from the traditional sound of the region, like in my hometown, accordion, or
Yeah,
fiddle. There were some singer songwriter with long hair with beards, and they got massively inspired when I listened to the album. It's funny because they sing in the dialect in Breton or in Alsatian, but they wanted
Yeah,
to sound like the Incredible String Band, which is
yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
funny.
I agree with you
Yeah,
totally. Yes, there's definitely that musical connection, isn't there?
yeah, but yeah, they brought this psychedelic, this acid folk, definitely to the to the table. Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, yes, he was. Not for very long. Not for very long was Ian Matthews a member. I think was it just two albums, three albums?
He's still on the what we did on our holidays, and I think he
Yeah,
left. I think he left. Not
yeah.
sure if he's on a half breaking, but just to tell you to give you a little bit of a lowdown. 1969 was a very productive year. They released three albums, Fairport Convention.
Hmm.
So things went fast. Lineup changes, and
Yes, yes.
unfortunately, the car accident, Martin Label passed away, and yeah. And this is another band. Is not folk, okay, but this is something. This is Traffic. This is the debut,
Yeah, yeah.
and I had this record, one of the very first vinyl record I bought, maybe 7 years ago, something. And when I rediscovered folk, I was like, hey, it's not this one. John Barleycorn Must Die is a perfect example, but it's a sort of of a psyche folk band in a way. Not sure what do you think with Steve Winwood's soulful voice, or some
I,
merging. Yeah, yeah,
I think they definitely qualify, and John Barleycorn Must Die is definitely a folk album. Well, it's a folk album in part,
yeah,
possibly not wholly.
yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's how I would describe it. And
Yeah,
of course, it look yes, and that looks like a folk album, doesn't it? Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lovely rendition of John Barleycorn, and yeah, it's an album that I have, and I would say that again, you know, they bridge a gap between folk music and and other genres, probably more the
Jazz,
same.
yeah,
The
jazz
same.
with some saxophone elements, yeah, and yeah, and Steve Winwood, I think back in the days, everything he touches was gold. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, from Spencer Davis group, Blind Faith, the project he was involved with, Eric
yeah,
Clapton, yeah. So
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, he was one of the one of the greats, in Isaac.
hi,
Yeah, yeah. But this is it. This is it. I think that we could easily make the case that English folk music is part of the mainstream. Because of all the connections you can make between uh, bands and artists that you would you know recognise as folk musicians, but they're also um, you know also involved in the rock scene. Of course, Sandy Denny uh,
yeah,
was on Led Zeppelin 4.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
When I said Led Zeppelin three has a lots of folk elements.
yeah, yeah. Well, you
You,
got yeah, yeah, yeah.
you,
I mean, Led Zeppelin embraced folk music quite regularly, I think.
Yeah, there are some pattern on the first album. Is that Mountainside or something? We won't show where Led
Misty
Zeppelin.
Mountain Hop,
Yeah, yeah,
which is a bit sort of folk psyche, I think.
yeah,
It's,
yeah. Bert
it's
Jansch, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So folk music gets absolutely everywhere, doesn't it?
And yeah, during COVID, I remember I found the Umaguma or Amaguma from Pink Floyd,
Yeah.
and one of my favorite track on this album is Grantchester Meadows. To me, it's epitomized the pastoral. We live on the countryside. We with a lake with some birds, and
Hmm.
It's I know it's not the best Pink Floyd album. Some love. Stunty loves this album for this avant-garde, this experimental aspects. But
Yeah,
yeah, for me, Grantchester Meadows is a beautiful folk song.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think they
So
yeah, yeah.
right, Zeb, I absolutely love Comas, and it's that album that you just can't get. I think Jack Vinyl Voyage has got a copy,
Yeah,
um, but I think there are all sorts of issues over copyright. So I think it was reissued at some point, and then the reissue had to be withdrawn because of copyright claims, etc., etc. And you just don't see it. But you know, if I was lucky enough to find one at a reasonable price, I would pick it up. Nidrolog, I've got an album on CD, and Griffin. Yes, I love Griffin. I'll tell you what, I'll grab a couple of albums.
yeah. I watched the video. Jack Vinyl Voyage he made. I think was one of the of his Grail. I think. And I listened to this album online, and yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
a good progressive folk.
yeah. So here we go. I'll take it out of the what's it. Otherwise, it will reflect back on the camera. Yeah. So this is Griffin's self-titled album. There they are, and they were they were famous for being. I mean, they were very sort of proggy, and I think as the years went on, they became a lot more proggy than folky. But they were they were famous for using using sort of unusual instruments. I mean, in particular, is the cromhorn was one of their
Yeah,
favorite instruments. There, yeah. Uh, Midnight Mushrooms is
yeah. You talk about this album on the folk video you made.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember.
It's lovely. Yes, yes, because they described their music as being hardcore medieval folk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, they certainly, they certainly try and bring that very kind. I suppose it's a stereotypical sort of, Tudor Elizabethan sort of vibe to it. You can imagine in a sort of in a banqueting hall in front of the monarch, and the musicians are playing these instruments, and yeah,
a,
that's
a whole
that's what,
concept. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yes, Griffin, always a band that I was quite into. And again, there's that crossover between prog and folk music.
Yeah, progressive folk. I didn't browse some prog album or progressive folk, but there is certainly some
Yeah,
album you can argue say is not 100% folk. Hi, Richard.
yeah. Hi, Richard.
So yeah, but they were what can I say? Albums that yeah, okay, no, I do have an example. I listened to this record like I happened to listen to this one like last
Yeah,
yesterday, and yeah, it's a minimalistic also jazz, no jazz, sort of folk, psych rock, and but what's your take on this one?
right. Do you know I don't have any Jade Warrior, and
Okay,
I probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I think their back catalogue was reissued in the UK,
yeah,
and I very nearly bought the reissues. But they're a band that I know of, but I don't really I don't really know a lot about them, and it's certainly they're certainly in my ballpark. As the sort of music that I would like, because again, it's proggy, it's folky.
Yeah, it's prog. It has this Jethro Tull a little bit aspects with the flute, and
Yeah,
it's also the yeah. It's my connection. I for those who watches my channel, I talk about prog, or I was massively into prog. Still are, but as I said, I got interested in some folk element or aspect of the talking about Genesis for a sec, the pastoral elements on nursery crime. Um, so got me curious to discover. Uh,
yeah,
okay,
right, right. This is more for me to investigate, I think. So thanks for that, Fred.
third ear bands. Okay.
Yeah,
So, hey, hi, Sean.
yeah. Hiya.
So this is how we get into folk music. So I think, um, shall we move to the next topic?
I think so. Yeah,
In our humble opinion, right? Disclaimer.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not
It's
a it's not a full list of album you must have, otherwise I don't respect you. It's nothing about that. It's
no,
only a couple of stuff we decided or we consider not a bad way to start, or you once have to give a try to listen to if you got interested in the folk more in this kind of how I see things. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this isn't a deep dive, is it?
No, no.
Yeah, very, very much. What we might call essential albums. Although when I was started to make a list, um, I probably got to about 30 or 40 and thought, no, I need to I need to calm down a bit. I need to uh, cut that list down just slightly.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
And yeah, as I try to go a little bit, yeah, to cover everything, not folk pure, but psych folk, acid folk, jazz, and jazz folk as well. So want to start, we do one each. You show an album, I show one, and
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Let's do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So be my guest, you start first.
Right. Okay. Well, I suppose we have to start, don't we, with Fairport Convention.
Yes, we
And
have to.
and our shows, we've mentioned it already. Uh,
Yeah.
what we did on our holidays. Yeah, this is a really really lovely album, and you've got Fotheringay on here. That's good enough for me. And yeah, what? Oh yeah, Nottingham Town is a really good track on here. But yeah, Shirley Collins does that one as well, which I think is really great.
Yeah,
Uh,
on the one I
but
will be showing.
yeah, yes. There's one that you'll be showing that I thought I won't get it out because I know that you would show it real well. But yeah, uh, yeah, Meet on the Ledge, which is almost become a sort of an anthem for Fairport, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Over the years, it's a song that I think everybody knows, but it's a bit of a transitional album, I think, because you've got the American sort of influence here.
Still, yeah, the
Still, that
yeah.
American sort of folk and blues music, but then you've got the more traditional sort of English tunes in here.
That's the first album with featuring Sandy Denny.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, on the debut album, it was Judy Diable, the singer, and they were, nicknamed the British Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah,
They were covering lots of Emmett Rhodes, Bob Dylan, Johnny Mitchell's song. And this is the
yeah,
second one with Sandy Denny on vocals. She had more like English folk in her DNA, so to say.
that's
But
right.
Ian Matthews sings some songs on the album, and there you can still find some cover version of this American standard. But yeah, the band evolves gradually, or is evolving
Yeah,
gradually. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And this is, I think this is a lot more sort of English folk than American influenced.
yeah.
It's, it tilts the balance, towards English folk music.
And yeah, Joe Boyd was the producer. He's also the one who secured the deal with the Incredible String Band at Elektra, but they had a deal on the Island label.
Yeah,
And we had this discussion with Richard with David Atkinson when he came over here to Canada, and he said, yeah, there were not lots of bands, electric rock with a rock band with electric guitar doing folk at the time, so they found a niche, and I think they pleased the same audience as the one who were going to see Pink Floyd, because Joe Boyd, he was managing the UFO Club at the time. So
yes,
people like Soft Machine, Caravan, or Pink Floyd, and all this scene in London. Because folk, I think it's a lot about the folk club. You were mentioning the folk club in Eastbourne,
yeah,
but in London there were the Troubadour, Les Cousins. In Glasgow up north, there were also this connection with Anne Briggs, Archie Fisher,
yeah,
and yeah. So yeah,
yes, yes. I mean, it was, they were a meeting point. It's, those interested in that sort of music
okay,
uh, would will meet at the clubs. You'd have open mics, and so people could get an opportunity to perform uh, themselves and listen to others perform,
okay.
and that's how the scene developed and grew.
Okay, so
Yeah,
start with an absolute classics. Folk roots, new roots. Second one he made, I think he made Blues Beyond the years before. Two figures of the folk club of the folk scene uh, in England. Shirley Collins, David Graham. What can we say? This is a masterpiece. I think they were so enthusiastic. I think back in the days they could have made probably 5 or 10 albums, because there were
yeah,
so many songs, so many traditional. Um, he's the one who brought so many things to the table. When we were just discussing with him with Fred about that, and I often get a feeling there are like 2 people playing the guitar or 3 people playing the guitar, but he's only the one. Obviously, with his techniques he brought from Morocco, this open tuning, which was like taken over by Bert Jansch, Jimmy Page later. Also, this Oriental flair, as he was sticking to it from Indian music, and a lady. So Shirley Collins, who's still active, by the way, who still sings, who had made some trip in the Appalachian Mountains, exactly like Cecil Sharp, to grasp the essence of the American folk, the English folk, doing something. And it's a collection of absolutely beautiful,
yeah,
stunning song. My all-time favorite, "Hair on the Mountain," which she made another version on the latest album when her voice
yeah,
changed so many. And yeah, Nota Town that you mentioned, Renardine, which is also
yes.
covered by Fairport. So an
That's right.
absolutely,
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, Renardine has been covered by just about everybody, I think.
yeah, yeah. And so I wouldn't say a must-have, because I don't talk about about it on my channel, but yeah, not a bad way to start. Not a
No,
Yeah,
no, no. And
not a faux pas if you got interested in folk.
yes, and you're quite right to talk about Davy Graham's guitar playing, because it's absolutely sensational.
And
As you
the
say,
same,
he developed that style.
yeah. he went to Morocco, and to play along with the local musician, he had to tune his guitar in a certain way. So with the DAC tuning, and what he brought back when he went to England, and Morocco was a sort of a country like very like, I know the guy, the Mike Heron, I think, was went to Morocco as well. So
Yeah,
people wanted to grasp a little bit the essence, and here we are once again talking about the influence of other culture. We were just talking about that the other day. You and I, Mike. You say in your in the city where you live, some people there were migration, so people brought with themselves some elements of their culture, and in that case, his culture doesn't come to me. I come to the culture and I bring it back. I
yeah,
think. I think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right. And of course, Richard and Linda Thompson embraced Sufism, didn't they?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Just,
Mm. Yeah.
so
So
you.
uh, let's stick with Shirley
Oh.
Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Shirley Collins and the Albion Band, and it's No Roses, and the year is, I wrote it down because I can never remember, 1971. So there you go. I know that. Yes, Davy Graham makes Hendrix look like a schoolboy. Yeah, he's sensational though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He developed that style of his own, and not only was it so brilliantly proficient, it also was perfect for the sort of music that he was playing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember something different. A different topic. When Keith Richards and Brian Jones they heard Robert Johnson for the first time, they also came up with the same. Hey, is that two
Yeah,
people that are playing the guitar? No, it's only one. And I
yeah,
got that feeling when I listened to.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. So yeah, this is this is the Young Band. It's got a list here, down the side, and this is how important I think this album is because of the people involved. It says the Albion Country Band is Lal Walterson, Mike Walterson, uh, Royston Wood, Francis Baines, Steve Mignon, Roger Powell, Richard Thompson, Colin Ross, Alan Lumsden, Maddie Pryor, Simon Nicol, Ashley Hutchins, of course,
yeah.
Alan Cave, Lola Cockfield, Dave Bland, Tony Hall, Tim Renwick, Ian Whiteman, Barry Dransfield, who was from Yorkshire, which
Okay.
just up the road from me. I think it's in Harrogate. He was born. Nick Jones is there. Dave Mattox, Shirley's sister Dolly is there. Greg Butler, the great accordion player John Kirkpatrick, and Trevor Cozier. So that that's a who's who of
Yeah, the British. Yeah,
English folk music at the time, and yeah, so it's an absolutely lovely album, and whenever Shirley sings, it's just you know it's just wonderful.
yeah. It
But
has this. It has this emotion. It's always like melancholic but optimistic in a way.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely lovely, and there's just as the tide was flowing is on here, and that was covered by 10,000 Maniacs, the
Okay.
the New York folk rock band back in it would have been the late 80s, I think,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's on their album The Wishing Chair, which is a focus of their albums, and the singer there, Natalie Marchant, absolutely.
This is an interesting point. When this album was released, all the bands, lots of member were from, was in sort of hiatus. Richard Thompson had just left Fairport Convention.
Yeah,
You were talking about Norma, the Watersons.
yeah.
So I think it was the right time. To gather all these people. Is that mid 70s something, 74 something, 70?
Sorry,
The album was released in 1974,
71.
71. Oh, 71.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite
Oh,
early. Yeah,
Oh,
So,
okay. So I'm completely sorry. I said bullshit.
but you know, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
Ashley Hutchins had already gone to form Steel Span, hadn't he? And then yeah, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think folk music was in a bit of a flux at the time, anyway. You
yeah.
know,
That was
as
that
you
was
say,
yeah.
all these people are there, and it's on the Pegasus label,
It was this
which
label. Yeah,
is one of those folk labels that.
yeah. I do have one album. The one by Still I Span.
Oh yes, Ten Man Mock is on Pegasus, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one I have on this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Steel Ice Band lost money on Ten Man Mock because of the expense of producing the the fantastic cover. Yeah, Barry Drummond. Yeah, Morrison. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I should show Morrison um, because again, that's a great sort of ensemble of
Yeah,
uh, folk musicians. The catalyst for that
it's
again was
yeah.
Ashley Hutchins.
It's on my list, and it's because of you, Fred. You talk about this album on Morrison on
Yeah,
the we talk about your folk video you dropped in your channel just before Christmas,
yeah,
and amazing source of inspiration. Still haven't found all the.
yeah.
Hey Emma, hi.
Hello.
So as for the next one, I'm a little bit mixed feelings because I decided to go with this one, but
So
yeah,
did I.
could have gone with Basket of Light because I don't have a copy of Basket of Life. I'm completely honest. I don't have a physical of a copy, but I went online, and it has become sort of earworm in the
Yeah.
so accessible. This blend with now I'm talking about Basket of Life showing Cruel Sister, but there are songs with Jackie McShee, amazing, where she sings almost the blues, and you have
Yeah.
banjo bluegrass with sitar, and the two duet vocal Bert Jansch was massively into blues. We have to say that Brownie McGee was a bluesman. He was a huge source of inspiration, and they had this jazz touch with the celloist Danny Thompson, who later
Yeah.
played also with John Martin. Two gifted guitarists, John Renbourn and Bert Jensch. Bert Jensch, I think Jack Vinyl Voyage pronounced Bert Jensch. It's
Yeah.
probably the right pronunciation, as he's from Scotland. So yeah, this has Jack on Ryan on side two, which is
Yes.
a classic. So
Epic. It's an absolute epic. It's
but I
fantastic.
say, as I said, mixed feelings because in essentials. I could have gone with Reflection as well, or a Basket of Light, the second one. But we have to take one Pentangle album for today's
Yeah.
selection.
Yeah. It is my favourite. It is my favourite, and
Mm,
I love Jack Ryan so much. I love the way that the tune, the song sort of evolves,
yeah.
over the whole side of an album.
For the people who are not into prog, because it's a progressive, uh, Basket of Light would probably work a little bit better. But to me, it's fine. So on the Transatlantic label, um, to me, it's fine. To me, it's definitely it's the first Pentangle record, the first ever Pentangle record I ever bought. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So yes, that was the one that I picked out anyway. So I showed this one instead.
oh yeah,
Yeah, there's the
yeah.
debut. Um, I don't think it's their best album, but it's certainly I think an essential album. So
On
yeah,
on,
they're
on
all
this
on
one,
there.
on this one, there is a song. I have the feeling it's like an alternative version of Folsom Prison, with this very country. I don't know which one.
Oh yes.
Uh,
What is it? I'm trying to think.
uh, Way Behind the Sun, I
Oh,
think.
that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, on
You listen to
on.
that song, it's like Folsom Prison by Johnny Cash has been rewritten. And yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
I know what you mean. Now you've mentioned it. Yes, I tried
yeah,
to. But yeah, they've got some good stuff on here. I mean, Bruton Town, which follows that track, is again very much a standard. And they start off with "Let No Man Steal Your Time," and again, Jackie's vocals are absolutely spot on there. And again, it's
hey Ian.
on the transatlantic label, of
Yeah,
course. Hi, Ian.
Ian.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, these people. I mean, you mentioned Bert and John, absolutely brilliant pair of guitarists, weren't they?
Yeah,
And
I
yeah,
recommend to watch anybody. There is this documentary available on YouTube called Acoustic Roots, and
yeah,
this is a Billy Connolly. I think it's something from
it
'92,
is. Yeah, yeah,
and you see, it's amazing. His life, his contribution, and he's so down to earth. And this documentary, he took his trip. He's taking his trip to America to meet Brownie McGee 3 years before he passed away.
yeah,
And there is a moment. It's very touchy because he's still living in a very humble house, as you guys say, an end terrace in the UK.
mm,
He's not like rich, and he's doing like a couple of tea with John Renburn, 92. So they never had the life of a rock star. They never, not sure if they never ever made tons of money.
no,
Pentangle lasted 7 years and was a very exhausting because they were like touring, album touring, and yeah. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, the other thing on Cruel Sister, I think it's John Remborn who plays the zitar as well on.
we have to check.
Yeah, yeah. I think
They only say electric guitar, acoustic guitar recorder.
my mistake there, but yeah, yeah. There's certainly a bit of zitar somewhere in Pentangle's discography. I'm sure.
Yeah, on the basket of light.
Yeah.
The song I was mentioning, which is a crossover between the bluegrass
Mm.
and the psych and the acid folk. Uh, House House Carpenter. That's the song. When you listen to House, okay, this one House Carpenter.
Yeah.
Uh, you already had this feeling of
Yes.
several
Yeah.
genres merging, crossover. So
Yeah.
so you okay,
Right.
Pentangle, you now moving on. Shall I go, or I'm not even sure.
Uh, yeah. You go next.
Okay. An album, also recommendation by my friend Fred. Absolutely stunning album. This is a reissue I got, but the original pressing came on the Dandelion label. John
Yeah.
Peel's contribution to folk music, ladies and gentlemen. So Bridget St. John, yeah, something like very pure. It sounds so simple, it's not over complex, with lots of techniques, but damn, it is work. It's really work. Um, don't know much to say to say about that. It has also this baroque feeling as you can have on Nick Drake album,
Yeah.
but with not without the gloominess or with the sadness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think she's an unsung heroine of the folk music scene. But I don't want to upstage you, but I will.
uh,
There is on the Dandelion label.
it's not a super duper expensive, by the way. You can still find an OG
Yeah,
copy.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, they're not.
yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They're not priced ridiculously.
What
So
what's 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 your take on her first one? which came out in '69, I think. Um, have you ever heard? Because that's
I, I
the
don't I
second.
don't think I don't think I know that album. Quite honestly,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe I should give that a listen. But
yeah, yeah. Don't
this is certainly a wonderful album, though.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
yeah,
John Martin, yeah, was in the
of course,
entourage.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
uh, okay, you're next.
Yes, I'll go next. We were talking about Joe Boyd, weren't we? And
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Plastic Onion, uh, just another Diamond Day. And this is an album that I think just about bypassed everybody when it was first released, and since then it's become one of the classic albums. This is a reissue, by the way, and on the credits here, um, she just says a thank you to Joe Boyd, who noticed and listened. And I think that's the thing about Joe Boyd, that he had an ear for what was what was good, what was essential, and yeah.
Joe.
So
Yeah, Joe Boyd, an American producer who saw Dylan electrifying the folk
yeah,
or then spent a couple of years in England, and
yeah,
yeah, was behind the success or secured the deal with Incredible String Band, Fairport Convention, managing the UFO Club,
yeah,
producing the very first Pink Floyd stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
figure, yeah,
absolutely. So you've got on this album, you've got Robin Williamson from Incredible String Band, you've got Dave Swarbrick, and you've got Simon Nicol playing on here, and and Robert Kirby, who I don't know. I'm not sure who he is, other than in the context of this album. But yeah, Vashti Bunyan has got one of those voices that you kind of instantly fall in love with. I think uh,
yeah,
there,
and
there is something otherworldly about the way she sings, and of course, she came out with this absolutely brilliant album, and then there was nothing for
yeah,
40 odd years.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah, and then she recorded the second one after, yeah, as you said, a 40 years hiatus. You also have a copy of this new one.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. So I think what it was is that she became very disillusioned with the whole sort of music scene
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
and she just went off into the countryside, with a horse-drawn caravan, and lived a sort of very parochial sort of rural sort of traveller's life really
yeah.
for quite some time, and I can't. I can't think. Somebody persuaded her to come back, and I can't remember who it was.
Uh, was it his son? No, that's another story.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's probably on the notes uh, to the album.
Yeah, there
Uh,
is a rabbit on the cover, I think, on the which is not really important, but
yeah, yeah. So this is the
yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
this is a fairly recent reissue. Yeah, the album's called Look Aftering, and and there you go. But that's, so this is double album, and we've got tracks the second album is very, kind of a mishmash of sort of various sort of outtakes and various recordings from
Sean
the
is
early
Sean.
2000s.
I think Sean refers to the first Vashti Minions you showed. Uh, is that a electric recording company or issue?
It is. It is. It's actually on the branch label. Actually, I'll show you. There you go. Yeah. So yeah. Yes, I don't have an original. I don't think I've ever seen an original of Just Another Diamond Day.
Yeah, never. Me neither.
But,
Even
I'm
when I
sure if I did, it would be out of my price range.
probably, yeah. So next one, some Donovan.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and again, I could have gone with a gift from a flower to a garden, which is also very important. But I do have something like very. I have a personal story. Yeah, I discovered this album many years ago, and to me, it's like a photograph. I always say the same stuff about it. It's like a photographic picture of the swinging London '60s. This guy starting as a covering a lead belly Guthrie song, just like Bob Dylan, and doing some psych. And it has all the
Yes.
elements: the jazz, the psyche, the Indian. He's the one who taught Lennon how the picking techniques, as we can hear on Dear Prudence, because he was busy with the Beatles in India, and this is the one he made when he got back from India. The hurdy-gurdy
Yep.
man. He's the only Mr. Donovan. So to me,
Yes.
is an essential when we talk about late '60s folk, psych folk, acid folk. To me, it has
He
it's
is. He is. And
yeah,
he's somebody that, I mean, with Hurdy Gurdy Man, he briefly broke into the mainstream.
yep,
It was it was a single, and I think it did pretty well. I'm not sure. I don't think it made number one, but it's certainly a song that everybody knew. And he was going to be the Scottish Bob Dylan, wasn't he?
yeah. Imagine if he had if he had been American, what a career he could
Yeah.
have. But yeah, we won't rewrite the history over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah.
very good, man. So you're next.
Right. Okay. What should I do? Oh well, we'll stick with female artists. Got to mention Sandy, haven't we?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, uh, North Star, Grassman and the Ravens, and that's an iconic album cover by someone whose name I've forgotten, who did absolutely loads of albums. I think for various rock musicians.
That's the one she made when she left Fairport. They were also a who's who of the folk scene playing. Richard Thompson plays. I think
Yeah,
Jerry
yeah,
Conway.
yeah, yeah. Jerry Donohue's on here. Richard
Yeah,
Thompson's on
yeah.
here. Um,
Sonny
yeah,
Flynn.
yeah. Jerry Conway on the drums. Trevor Lucas, of course.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, Richard Thompson's sort of on here. I mean, throughout the album, I think he's on most of the.
It's the sort of folk without the maybe the energy, the fiddle, the prog aspects that she was doing with Fairport Convention.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. I think so. But she really showed her sort of songwriting ability, I think, on this album. That I mean, the opening track here, Late November, absolutely wonderful track. And then, of course, you go into Blackwater Side, which is a traditional tune, of course. And yeah, the Sea Captain was another one of hers.
Yeah.
Uh, then she does Bob Dylan's Down in the Flood and John the Gun, again, one of her own compositions. And you get onto side two. Um, Next time around, one of it is a favourite of mine, The Optimist. And then a track that kind of irritates me a little bit, and that's Let's Jump the Broomstick. It
Yeah.
it doesn't, you know, it kind of breaks up the mood a little bit, I think. And, I would rather it wasn't there. Um, but yeah, but the title track, the North Star Craftsman, the Ravens, with the sort of
Yeah.
enigmatic lyrics and everything, I think it's absolutely wonderful. This is my favourite Sandy Denny album, by
Yeah.
the way.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah,
She had
yeah,
such a short life, and
yeah,
she started actually with the Strobes. She had recorded an album with the Strobes in
yeah.
68. It was
Yes,
first
all her
released.
own work. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it was first
yeah,
first released in 73 when she already went to with Fairport Convention. Then she formed another band with her husband, I think, or a friend,
yeah.
Fotheringay. Yeah,
Gay. Yes,
Fotheringay. Yeah, yeah, with a very
yes. An
awful
album with
cover. Yeah,
wonderful album with a terrible cover.
terrible cover, wonderful album. Yeah, and then yeah, she had some. Yeah, she had to deal with some personal issues, and
Yeah,
she sadly passed away very at a very young age. I think in 77.
yeah.
Yeah, had her parents. She had some trauma, and it's a pity because
Yes, yes. I mean, some of the stuff that that you know Rob Young mentions in this book about Sandy is quite disturbing, really. I think that
yeah, yeah,
he claims that she had fallen down the stairs at her parents' house,
mm,
and her parents wouldn't take her to the hospital because they thought it would be embarrassing that people would think that they've got a daughter who's an alcoholic, and so she didn't go. She didn't go to hospital, and then she fell downstairs again um,
and she died.
when she
Yeah,
was
yeah,
back home, and
mm.
and she died. But yeah, I mean, very very tragic sort of short life. But you know, you, with people like Sandy, you always wonder, what she would have gone on to in later life.
Yeah. I think the scene was blessed with the three ladies: Jackie McShee, Sandy Denny, Maddie Pryor.
Mm,
Uh, on such a small, sorry country when compared to the U.S.,
yeah,
the scene was booming, man, and they were
mm,
all three talented
mm,
female vocalists. Yeah.
yeah,
So the next one is a classic. Is an absolute classic. I won't be talking too much about that, but yeah, I discovered Nick Drake long time ago. I went back, and didn't really interested, and I happened to find this copy like 2 months ago, something a reissue, obviously. An OG pressing cost an arm and legs. I saw prices
yeah,
then Bosch. I don't need an
yeah,
OG. It's fair enough. And yeah, this is this baroque feeling, uh, these very special techniques as he played. So yeah, Nick Drake. So
yeah, yeah, yes. I only have Nick Drake on CD, but
yeah,
that great sort of trilogy of albums has been very recently re-released. So I
yes,
really must,
in
I really must get around to get
in a
the
box
vinyl.
set. He was still a student back then, and it was released on the Island label. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But again, another, very troubled young man, wasn't he?
yeah.
Unfortunately.
And didn't met up with with success. And yeah, we were talking about yesterday with Fred, who had to go because it's a little bit late in Melbourne. And yeah, we talk about the fact, Cat Stevens and James Taylor, and they had success. But I won't be criticizing this music here. But it's hard to understand that he didn't manage to yeah, to have more, let's say, yeah, success or recognition
Yeah,
back then.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
that it's
I mean, he
mm,
certainly deserved
yeah,
a lot more success, and you know, he's found it posthumously, sort of, you know, unfortunately.
yeah. So you're
Yeah,
next. You're next.
I'm next. I'm next. Right, again, an album that if you find an original, it would cost an arm and a leg. So this is the reissue. It's on the Earth label, which is a folk subsidiary of the UK label Fire, and they do a lot, you know, a lot of really good folk stuff. And there you go. This is Trees uh, on the shore. Sorry, it's in shrink, so it'll shine a bit. But this is a very psyche folk
Yeah,
classic.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
again, you know, I think that they're a band who weren't really recognised for what they were at the time. You know, probably why the albums, you know, originals are so difficult to come by, because they didn't sell well at the time. But yeah, um, there's some, you know, there's some absolutely wonderful stuff on here. I mean, the final track on side two, Polly on the Shore, which again, a bit of a folk sort of, you know, standard. They do an absolutely lovely version of it. And then there's the song Geordie, which again, quite a few people have done that. Particularly Martin Carthy has done that, you know, a few times, I think. And again, they do an absolutely lovely version of it. But it's, you know, as I say, it's very psyche, and again, you know, quite weird as well, I would say. You know, and
Yeah, with mysticism, esotericism, all over the place.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But you know, their albums, you know, both of their studio albums are worth picking up. And there's also um, a lovely album of you know, BBC sessions, and you know,
Okay.
various sort of outtakes that again is definitely worth seeking out. But you know, to get, as I say, to get an original of this, I think you either have to be very lucky or be prepared to spend a lot of money. But
Mm.
you know, I mean, I think the cover of this album sort of kind of tells you that it's going to be a little bit weird, you know, because they call it On the Shore, and then it's a little girl dressed in Victorian costume, you know, in the garden of a large house, and you know, you think, what's that all about? What, yeah, how does that connect to the title of the album, or whatever? But yeah, it is fantastic. It's folk psych at its very very best. I think, you know, it's up there with the Incredible String Band.
Okay, next. This is
Oh
a
yes,
yeah, Virgin debut album, 65, and years before Pentangle, the jazz folk with my favorite version of NG and the blues,
yeah,
absolutely the blues, because folk blues and beyond was released at the same time, I think, by David Graham, and he had made this wonderful album. Brought something very very unique to the table. Originally from Scotland, moved
yeah.
to the. He was roommate with not Mike Heron, the other Clive Williamson.
Robbie
Yeah,
Williamson, yeah,
Williamson, and yeah, this is a
yeah, yeah.
absolute fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Bert Jansch is one of those people that is, you know, very solidly part of the folk revival, a very important part. And you know, the thing is, Bert Jansch. original albums, on the transatlantic label, uh, you can pay an awful lot of money for originals, but the Earth label that I just showed you, that Trees are on, they've done quite a few Bert Jansch reissues as well, and some John Renbourn as well. So if you're if you're wanting a copy of a Bert Jansch album, then you don't mind a reissue, then the Earth label is it's certainly worth checking out.
I don't mind a reissue. We can talk about that for a sec. It's to me it's always the same. If I can find a copy in my area, in my scope, in my budget, then okay. If I really want the album, I know it's a super duper rare stuff. Nick Drake, perfect example. I was in Den Bosch. I saw copies, ranging from thousands of euros, dollar, whatever. Then in that case, no, reissue is fine. It's completely fine, really.
Yeah,
I want.
absolutely, and I think for most people, um, we're never going to pay thousands or even hundreds for a single album. So if you want it, you should look at.
If I really want the album and I have the chance to come across and I pay 100, I will think about that. But if it's over a grand or even
Yeah,
500,
I know it's ridiculous.
ridiculous. I could buy 20 records for this amount of money, and a very decent ratio is fine. Is absolutely
Yeah,
fine. So
yeah. I agree with you. I mean, the way I see it, the certain albums that I don't have in my collection that I know I could find originals. If I look for long enough, I could find originals for a reasonable price, and that's what I would go for. But there are other records. I mean, like the Nick Drake albums, for instance. I know that if I find a mint copy of a Nick Drake original, it's probably going to be out of my price range.
probably
So I'm quite happy to buy a reissue, and I don't mind as long as they look fine. I like the covers to be the same as the original.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
That's that's something that.
And on Nick Drake, that's the case. They even replicate the where is my Nick Drake album? Oh. They replicate the inner sleeve, the famous inner sleeve. Okay. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, the iconic island with the pink with this very light. Yeah. So okay, where did I find? Okay. And it's and it's an official reissue on the it's Universal island label. Yeah, you see they replicate with a with a sort of
well, even some ringwear.
Ringwear printed. Yeah, yes. With the original island label, because that's the design they had back in the days. They came to several. Yeah. It's a 2015 or 13 reissue, and it's it's fine.
It's fine, isn't it? Yeah, you've got the music, and that's the important thing.
Yeah. So I was disappointed by some of the reissues, like for instance the Zombies. I found my copy is warped by, and the stereo was the mastering was not done properly. So now same thing. John American and Sam talk about the new reissue, the mono reissue, Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle, and maybe I will buy the new reissue just to have this perfect balance. But I'm not looking for not running to buy every possible reissue box set.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're next if you still have.
Yes, I go next. So yes. So there you go. Tune tables. debut album, Airs and Graces, and it's a fantastic album, and it's on the Topic label, which of course is a classic British folk label, and this is June being very very folky, because as her career sort of developed as she got older, there's a lot of other influences come into her music. Particularly sort of late on, there's quite a lot of jazz, sounds come into her albums. I mean, they're all fantastic as far as I'm concerned. But this one is it's a very a very folky album, and the tracks on here, While Gamekeepers Lie Sleeping, the brilliant Plains of Waterloo, then Bonnie May, Renardine again, another version of it, and then the band played Waltzing Matilda, which is Eric Bogle's song about the Anzac troops and the massacre at Gallipoli in the First World War, and he's lamenting how in 1916 people sign up patriotically to go off and fight, and then people, he was saying the wounded actually envy the dead. Quite often people's lives are absolutely wrecked, their bodies are, and they come back to Australia, and nobody really wants to listen. They go off to war with a great parade and a fanfare and flag wave, and they come back and nobody anymore. It's a very anti-war sort of song.
There is a movie, I think young Mel Gibson played on a. They made a movie back in the 80s, and
that's right, yeah,
about that. Yeah, I remember,
yeah. But June sings this song, and as the song goes on, she puts some real venom into the way she's sort of singing it. She really feels it, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic rendition of that song. So yeah, so that should be your next June table record from Airs and Graces.
It's on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you told me about this one. I happened
to find. Didn't I? Yeah.
I happened to find. I was lucky. It was at the bookstore over here in Montreal, and they only had this. The other one I found, but I'm still on the lookout. Never.
Yeah. Know. Good.
And finally, John Martin, Live at Leeds.
Hey, Live at Leeds. Brilliant.
Yeah. It's for you. It's a clin d'œil, as they say in France. Yeah. Okay, Solid Airs, absolutely great album. Bless the Weather, all this series. But what I really like is what he brought really to the table. His voice, the effect, the incorrect effect that is usually applied to the electric guitar, that is applied to the acoustic guitar. With Danny Thompson, the celloist by Pentangle, played with him. So it goes very like psyche, spacey. It's not a bootleg. It looks like a bootleg. Even the label is a bootleg, but it is not a bootleg. It is a official release on the Island label once again.
Yeah, fantastic. That is really good. I've not seen that before, I knew of its existence, but I've never actually seen a copy of it.
I found this in Toronto with David Atkinson. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The day we went out with David and Brian, we had such a wonderful day out.
Yeah. So presumably every time you picked up an album, Brian said, "Oh, I've not heard of that." It's a standard comment to just about every video I do.
Yeah, but
I don't know these bands, but we live in different worlds. This is it. I'm not criticising you, Brian. If you,
no.
I'm,
It's
I'm,
fine.
I'm just making a statement.
Sometimes I know he will like for instance the Bill Nelson record. That's another great story. We were with Ben Rankings the year before,
Yeah,
and I found this Bill Nelson record, the 82, the Love That World's great. Okay, that's a full stream. Now I'm talking about some 80s stuff, but who cares? It's my
yeah,
channel. I do what I can, what I want, and
yeah.
I
That was,
knew he was gonna like. So I said, Brian, the next time I find a copy for you, I'm giving you the VCLT, which I did, and he made a
yeah.
video. He said it's a fabulous record. It's fabulous.
Hey, brilliant, brilliant. You see
So
that? That's what you need to do. Spread the word.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so about sharing, because we are overwhelmed with so many information, so we cannot
yeah,
really listen to everything. And I know there is a great jazz stuff. Fred is share a little with me, but hey, my budget is limited, my time is limited,
mm,
and to do the proper job, I'm not like picking every piece. It's like
yeah.
I know here in Montreal, I always take the example. There are 50 good restaurant. I won't be eating in those restaurant the same night. Picking stuff here and there. uh, I go like every
Yeah,
once, one step
yeah.
after another, and to really dive into. That's my yeah.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, yeah,
I have nothing left. I won't be showing Legion Leaf because we
yeah.
already talked about Fairport
Well,
Convention.
someone we haven't really mentioned. Well, we mentioned them in passing um, on other people's albums.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
which yeah.
Richard Thompson. This is Richard and Linda's. I want to see the bright lights tonight. Their masterpiece from 1972, was it? 74? I don't know. I can't remember.
Little bit later, I
Or
think.
74.
Yeah,
74 it is.
yeah,
Yeah, I wrote the dates down here because I always forget detail. But yeah, this is a really lovely album. Uh, so the title track, is again, I think it's one that a lot of people know. You don't have to be a Richard Thompson fan to do that. But yeah, it's lovely. So again, you get people turn up, that turn up on all these albums, don't they? So you've got Simon Nicol plays on here. John Kirkpatrick, who I mentioned before, who's a sort of accordion concertina player. Who else have you got? Trevor Lucas is on here doing some backing vocals, and it's a great album.
yeah,
And
yeah. I'm still on the lookout for this one. Yeah, never,
yes, I know, I know. If
never
if
see
I
this.
if, if I find a copy, then I'll
Oh, I didn't
I'll
say
I'll,
that for that
I'll
that
save you. I'll save you one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
thank you. Yeah, over here it's not very common. Sometimes I stumble upon other Richard Thompson solo material,
yeah,
but this one I never. I think people who have this they know the value, so they keep it. I think.
yeah. Maybe that's it. But yes, you're right. I don't see that album when I'm out and about. I see I see all sorts of other, Richard Thompson albums, Richard
Yeah.
and Linda Thompson albums, particularly Richard and Linda Thompson albums.
Yep.
See quite a few.
Yeah.
First Light, which I think is up there with this one. You know, um, yeah. So there's plenty. There's plenty to be had at reasonable prices. So yeah.
Are we done?
Um, I'll just show a bit of Steel Ice Band because
Of course. Of course. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, I show the debut, but really the first three albums. So this is the debut, Heart of the Village Waits. Then you've got Pleased to See the King and 10 Man Mop or Mr. Reservoir, but the rides again. So
Just to give a
this
little
is
bit of background, this is Ashley Hutchins when
it's
he
Ashley
left.
Hutchins' band.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
this is this is the band he formed when
left
he left Fairport.
Fairport with Martin Carthy played
Yeah,
on the first albums. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. So you've got here. Uh, you got Tim Hart and Maddie Pryor, who really they're the sort of mainstays, I think, of Steel Eye Span over the years, particularly Maddie Pryor. Then Ashley Hutchins is on here, of course, who plays the bass. Then you've got Gay and Terry Woods, who appeared only on this album. And again, I think there was some artistic or other differences between members of the band at this time. And by the time we get to Pleased to See the King, which did I grab that one as well? No, I didn't. But Pleased to See the King. Again, you've got you've got Martin Carthy comes into the band. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now We Are Six. That's quite a late one. That's
74,
later 70s.
74. Yeah, yeah.
I can never remember. It was when that was the time. Now We Are Six is the period that Steel Eye Span were at the height of their popularity.
Yep.
They were, as a folk rock band, they were more rock than folk, I think, at that time. But yeah, Now We Are Six is not a bad album at all, actually.
I have somewhere, not here. I have the Below and Salt, which is a very feel good and filled with lots of collective song from Cecil Sharp and
Yeah,
other, and they sing in Latin. They did it, Gaudete in Latin.
yeah, that was a hit single, believe it or
A
not.
hit single, believe it or not.
Bugger Latin, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
bought it. I bought it. Yes, they
yeah,
had two hit singles. There was Gaudete, and then I think it was can't remember. Was it the Moon
John
Gig?
Barlick, no,
Yeah,
King Henry, no.
no. Mooncoin Jig is on the single, but I don't. I think it's the B side. I can't remember. I shouldn't have mentioned it
Yeah,
because this is what happens. I start to talk about things, and then I remember that I forgot it. If you know what I mean.
yeah. Didn't bring Still Span Records for today's stream, but I'm sure you would, or we would obviously be talking
Yeah,
about their
yeah, that's
contribution.
right. I mean, the other, I did get the other two, you know, exceptions out here.
Yeah, Below the Soul is a sort of all killer, no filler.
Below the
Uh,
Salt, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
Below the Salt and Parcel of Rogues are sort of two albums that go very much together, I think.
hmm
They're very similar, and I do like them. And, when we were talking at the start of the stream, I mentioned that, they were touring with Parcel of Rogues when I saw them first. But yeah,
oh,
there's Pleased to See the King. So this this is probably my favourite Steel Eye Span album, I think.
the
But
below
yeah,
the Below the Soul. Since we are on the VC channel, you can find everywhere over here at
yeah,
$2. VG plus $2. You don't have to pay lots
no,
and lot more, and it's a great one. And because people think, oh, it's a $2 record, but no, it's a very good
yeah,
album.
yeah. I mean that's right. This is a really good album, as is uh, you know
Yeah,
10 Man Mock, which is
is less
it's
is less.
it's inside a
Yeah,
cover here, but there's on this side there's a booklet and it has
less joyful, less feel good, a little bit more prog, esoteric. I would say.
yeah, yeah. There are some there are some really sort of quite sort of meaty tracks on 10 Man Mock. So yeah, I like what when I was on horseback is is one of my favourites here. So
Yeah,
what else have we got?
got it
Yeah,
here.
that's now we are six. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we got Scuba on here, of course, as well. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. This is great, and I mean the thing about this, pleased to see the king. That the thing is that the king in question here is a dead wren in a decorated box,
Okay.
and it was an old tradition, and the wren was a bird that signified winter,
Okay.
and strangely, because they're on all the Christmas cards, a robin was a bird that signified the summer. And what used to happen is sort of as a ritual to sort of after Christmas to see out the winter and to bring in the spring. That they would hunt a wren, tiny little bird,
Hmm.
and then they would dress the wren up and put it in a decorated box, and then the people would go from door to door, and they would the people would give them money. It was a bit like like sort of wassailing,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sort of tradition of going door to door, and it was similar to that. And what used to happen is that they'd come to the door with the box, and the people in the house that they would say, "Pleased to see the king," and they would
Okay.
give some money, and then they would be shown the decorated dead wren in the box, and that was a tradition.
Okay.
Strange, isn't it?
Strange, but interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. So that's just about it. I mean, I could go on forever, but yeah,
Yeah.
we we
Those.
we can go for a while, and,
Yeah. I
and
thought. I
it's
thought for
really,
today's stream is it's fairly enough to cover or to have two different topics as we said.
yeah,
So we will be maybe doing another stream about folk if we have some ideas. I know some people like Glenn Calloway from the basement he
yeah,
showed interest. He bought himself a book, the Electric Eden book. He's
yeah.
very into English folk. So yeah, we will see. So are we done with the Essentials album?
I think so. I think so. But just to say, I think really, what we've done is, as far as I'm concerned, we've just really scratched the surface of
Oh
English
yeah,
folk music.
yeah,
There's an awful lot of other stuff.
yeah.
If you take a bit more of a deeper dive into the English folk revival, there's all sorts of wonderful stuff. I mean, if anybody's got any ideas about what they might like to hear about, and
Yeah, to see
we
or
might be able to do something.
yeah, we can. I don't do politics on my channel, and we don't do on the French live stream. Study and myself host every Sunday morning, but when addressing the punk subject or reggae, we cannot really deny or avoid the context surrounding the release of certain albums or certain trends, because
Absolutely, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
we didn't talk about Dick Going, the guy who came a little bit later, was support the workers in this
yeah,
difficult time of the Thatcherism, but it was
yes,
part of the history as well. So and y-
yeah,
and you had a very when you made your the video on your channel, Mike, about folk. Ben Rankings commented, and you made some. You compare punk and folk, and you would say, "Hey, those are the music for the
yes,
people." So it's the same. People were also young people angry, but they were
yeah,
expressed in a different way. But at the end of the day,
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, music is very seldom sort of context free. It comes from somewhere,
yeah,
and I think it would be wrong to ignore the somewhere that it comes from,
yeah, yeah,
even if that might be a little bit uncomfortable. It's part of
It is
it's
also what is it is also what is interesting, because we didn't start from the beginning mentioning that English folk or folk music, the revival started maybe in the US after this 1929
mm,
crisis, the Great Depression, with the Guthrie Lead Belly, all this. Yeah,
that's right.
it
That's
started a little bit there, and people already have this in their DNA, and it's always a cyclist. I think every possible genre or trend, we find stuff blast from the past, we rearrange it, or we bring something new, and yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that you know it happens. It happens time and time again. And there's sort of a lot of a lot of modern music. Sort of passed me by really. Or not completely, but I think from the point of view of the context, things like hip hop, for instance,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, it's more difficult for somebody like me to actually relate to that. But it's really interesting to understand where that music comes from. Why the artists are expressing themselves in that way, and that always happens. That always happens.
I could tell you example. I know you're a big punk guy. The Steve label is one of your favorite.
Yeah,
You know about the band called the Sleets. That's the perfect example. The
yeah,
manager was this guy playing reggae record, and they were a bunch of ladies. One of the drum, she came from Spain, and they said back in days, we were invisible in the society back then. We were not men, we were not white, we were
yeah,
not old white men establishment. We were invisible, and I
yeah,
think for lots of hip hop culture, it's the same. People were
yeah,
invisible in the society, so they had the only thing they could do, making noise, making music, creating a country culture, and yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's right.
yeah.
I mean, the musician Don Letts
Don't let's. That's the name.
does
Yeah,
an absolutely brilliant documentary about ska and reggae and the skinhead movement.
yeah. Trojan. I think I saw this pop by 2 days ago, something on YouTube. Trojan record on YouTube. Yeah. So, but another rabbit hole.
That's another
We can
story.
maybe conclude, wrap up today's stream, if you.
Yep.
So, thanks everyone for watching, for commenting. We will be back maybe with some more
Yes.
Easter eggs. Thank you very much, Mike, for your time,
No, it
your
was a pleasure.
contribution.
A pleasure.
It's
Really enjoyed this.
really cool. So, guys, have a nice weekend. Take care, and see you next time.
Yeah, yeah. See you guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.